Well, what happens when he tells you that and you're like, yes, like down in that classroom? Is there like a secret tunnel that goes under DC and they take you to Langley right there?
Almost.
Oh.
Figuratively. So, so we hang out. Greek guy. So he told me that the CIA actively seeks to hire people who have sociopathic tendencies, not sociopaths.
That's right.
Because sociopaths have no conscience.
Yep.
They're impossible to control, and they blow right through the polygraph because they don't ever feel guilt.
Right.
So if you have a sociopathic tendency as part of your personality, you do feel guilt, but you're still happy to break the law if you're instructed to do so. And I'll give you an example. When Dr. Post got me into the process, and I'll go back to the beginning of that process in a moment, I was in a group of 5 other applicants, and the interviewer there said, "Let's do an exercise." He says, "Let's say you're serving overseas as a CIA operations officer, and you get a cable from headquarters saying that they need next year's economic figures for Indonesia. So you begin to develop the Indonesian economic secretary, okay, at the embassy in the country where you're serving. And this guy becomes your best friend, which is the goal.
Yeah.
So you're developing him, you're taking him to dinner, you're hanging out, your wives become friends, you go on vacation together. You're doing this for whatever, 6 months, 12 months, and you determine he's not recruitable. What do? Headquarters needs the information. So what do? And one guy raises his hand. He says, you double down. You just keep doing it. You go out with him more. You spend more money. Okay. What else would you do? This girl raises her hand and she says, maybe you get the wife involved. Maybe your wife can improve her relationship with his wife, and then you get the wife involved. I'm looking around like, is nobody paying any attention here? I raised my hand. I said, you break into the embassy and you steal it.
Keep them.
He says, that's exactly what you do. That's exactly what you do. Well, that's a sociopathic tendency. Like, what are we wasting all this time for? You break in. Why do we have all these people who can defeat alarms and pick locks? What are they just going to sit at home doing nothing? You fly them out, you break into the embassy, you steal it, and everybody's happy.
Now, here's the question, though. You're thinking about that, even that hypothetical, because you're not there. It's a hypothetical.
Right.
But you are thinking about it in the context of being a CIA spy paid by the government literally to have carte blanche in some ways to do things like this for national security implications.
That's
and
right.
I say that because if you're like, of course, I'd go in there and steal it, and they're like sociopathic tendencies. My one thing about this is, if they were someone else not working for the CIA and they were painting this situation and it was just a regular, American job and it had nothing to do with national security, would you ever say something like that or even think something like that is okay?
I'm embarrassed to say that, yes, I would think that way. And I'll tell you, when I went to Deloitte.
God, you were perfect.
Oh, man.
Until the torture stuff, you were great.
When I went to Deloitte, we had this mandatory ethics class.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I mean, well, how old was I when I went to Deloitte? I was 40 something.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Early 40s.
Yeah, 40. I was 40. So they're like, let's say you've got this, this Japanese company and you're on the brink of signing a big deal. It's a $50 million deal, but PricewaterhouseCoopers, they made a bid and it undercuts us by $4 million. And one of the Japanese says, hey, why don't we meet up at a strip club? What do you say? And I said, let me go to the bank and get $200 in singles. And they're like, what? No, that's exactly what you don't say.
But this is also after your career, though. Would you have said that before your career?
No, probably not.
See, there you go. See, then point being, like, you played in the Super Bowl your whole career.
Yeah.
And now, even though you're getting paid a lot and it's Deloitte and Touche, big, huge company.
Big, yeah.
This is like a high school football game compared to that, but you're still in your mind thinking like it's a Super Bowl. So fuck it, let's go to the strip club, see some titties, and get some information.
Absolutely not. Not. And then my boss comes up to me, he's like, hey, the ethics people called me. I said, oh, relax. I'm not taking anybody to a strip club. Jeez. But anyway, getting back to the application process.
Well, what happens when he tells you that and you're like, yes, like down in that classroom? Is there like a secret tunnel that goes under DC and they take you to Langley right there?
Almost. Figuratively. So I'm sitting in his office, and do you know what a Rolodex is?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, I thought maybe you're too young to know what a
Listen, I still use that phrase, my Rolodex.
My Rolodex. So he had a Rolodex on his desk, and he's flipping through the Rolodex, and I remember seeing Oliver North home, and it had a number, and I was like, who is this guy? He's got
I
Oliver.
don't know.
I mean, Oliver North had just been convicted,
Yeah,
right,
for
from Iran-Contra.
Yeah.
So he calls this guy Bob, and he says, Bob, it's Jerry. I've got a good one for you. And he says, okay, bye-bye. And he hangs up. And he says, I need for you to go to this address in Roslyn, which is right across the river in Arlington, Virginia, and go to this address and ask for Bob. I said, okay. So it's only one metro station. Took me a minute. So I get over there. Totally nondescript building that doesn't exist anymore. It's been torn down. And I go up to the 6th floor, and there's a security guard up there. And I said, I'm here to see Bob, and he points at a door. So I go in, and I buzz the buzzer, and they buzz me in, but it's into a little vestibule that's like 6 by 6. And the second door has this big spin lock, like in a bank. But a woman opens the door. She just pokes her head out, and she says, are you here for Bob? And I said, yes. So she lets me in. So I'm sitting there for a minute, and this enormous guy, he had to be 6'6", 6'7", 350, comes bounding out of the office. Are you John? Yes. I'm Bob. How the hell are you doing? Hey, great. Nice to meet you. Come on in here. Have a seat. So I sit down. He says, Jerry says you're good. And if Jerry says you're good, then you're good with me. So here's what I want you to do. He says, I want you to go to George Washington University Medical School Auditorium Saturday morning at 8. We're going to give you some tests, and then you'll hear from me. I said, okay.
And that was it.
I left. So I go to GW Medical School Auditorium Saturday morning at 8. There are like 300 people in there. And they gave us 3 tests. The first one was a map of the world, and it was completely blank. So you had to write the names of all the countries. But I said in my first book, I was a map nut from when I was a little kid.
Yeah, me too.
So that was just fun, you know? Just fill it all out. There are a couple in West Africa that always hang me up, like Guinea-Bissau and, Guinea-Conakry and stuff like that. But I pretty much did the whole world. And then there was a current events test. It was A, B, C, or D. And it was so simple as to be kind of embarrassing, right? And then the third one was thousands of questions. But you just had to write agree or disagree. There's a box. Agree, disagree. And it was stuff like, I would like to conduct a symphony orchestra. Who cares? But there was one that said, I like boxing. And I, honest to God, don't really have an opinion on boxing. But
Even to this day?
Yeah. To this day, I would say, yes, I like boxing.
Okay.
MMA has made it more exciting.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah. But at the time, I was just nuts for Mike Tyson because he had just come out. He was young. He was a beast. Nobody could last more than a round or two. It was amazing. So I think I wrote agree. But then like 600 questions later, it says, I like boxing. And I was like, ooh, what did I say the first time?
And you can't go back.
It's like, I think I said yes. And then another 1,000 questions later, it says, I like boxing. So I don't know. So I was the first one to finish out of these 300 people. And the rector said, you sure you're done? And I said, yeah, I'm done. I finished everything. I called my wife to come get me. I get in the car. She goes, how did it go? I said, I have no idea.
You were married?
I had just gotten married. I was 23.
Is this your first wife?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So there's another one later. Got it.
Yeah. So I went home. I had no idea how I did. Like a week or two later, Bob calls me. He goes, you blew the doors off those tests. It was amazing. I said, oh, great. He goes, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to this address in Vienna, Virginia, and just knock on the door. I said, that's it? Yeah. I said, okay. So I drive to Vienna, Virginia, this little squat 2-story building. You'd never know it was there. Nobody would pay any attention to it.
That's how they like it.
Yep. Park my car, knock on the door. This lady answers. Are you John? Yes. Come on in. So I go in. There's a table set up, and there are 3 people on one side of the table, and there's a chair for me on the other. So on the one side, it was a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and an anthropologist, which was odd.
Guys, if you're still watching this video and you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, please take 2 seconds and go hit it right now. Thank you. Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.